we don't need to npm install if we already have Node installed, right?
So we actually do have to have npm install even if you do have Node installed. So npm install is going to download all of our dependencies that we need for this file. So when you first put it inside of the file directory, we won't have a node underscore modules file. And this essentially contains a long list of files that are used to run our website. So when npm start is run without doing npm install, we're going to get a bunch of errors saying that we don't have the dependencies. So please do npm install, even if you have done it previously, like as the track it says.
Awesome. I just want to check that. Thank you.
For sure.
Is your terminal running bash?
Yes. So my terminal does run bash.
I'm trying to do it with ZSH, but it's saying npm, the command npm install is not found.
To do that, make sure you do have Git.
I am. I've already opened the Git folder and everything inside my Visual Studio Code.
I'm not quite sure why that's not working. We could deal with that at the end, so we will get started. But try to do some
yeah, you need to
debugging
have
on your
Node
own
installed.
by pressing it in.
Yeah, I already have Node installed as well, but that's fine.
Is it?
All right.
I get an error that says like no such file or directory found when I type in npm install.
Okay, so one thing that might happen is I want you guys to go ahead, and I'm going to exit out of this, but put ls real quick. And if you put in ls and you don't see all of these files showing up, what you have to do is you have to do cd htf education. So this is going to go into the actual file that actually contains all of the source information and the files inside of that. So if you don't do that, you're essentially doing npm install where npm is not needed. There's not a package.json file that the dependencies could be pulled from. Okay, so let's take a look at this website now that we have it running.
Which folder do you have to be in HTF education? Just the which?
You just have to be in the source folder, the root folder.
Yeah, just the root folder for HTF education. As long as you do ls and you're able to see all the files there, you should be good. You're in the right place. So make sure you have this opened up in VS Code as well. I don't want you guys to have the overarching file that this is in. So now that we have run npm start, I want you guys to go to the next part of the track it. Just mark as completed. And can we unlock the next slide? But in the meanwhile, I will take you guys through this website. So before we get started, it's really important to understand the file directory because this is a little bit different than most typical front-end files. And if we take a look around here on the actual website, we'll see that we have a navigation bar. We have a profile picture. We have a little bit of a description. We have an about, and we have some portfolio. So when we click the plus button on any of our little icons right here, it'll pull open, and we have a description and a title that is right here as well. And when we scroll down, we have our contact me page. So if any recruiter comes across your website and they want to see more or they want to get to know more about you, they can just put in their information here and click send, and that will shoot right to you. And at the bottom, we have a footer. So you can see that this website looks a little bit different. It has the menu tab. And when we increase our browser size, we can see that this is a responsive page. So we'll open up the menu stuff and it'll put it right here. And if we scroll down, we can also see that the about comes into 2 columns. And this is pretty much the end of the changes that happen when you have it in different browser sizes. But just know that it is a pretty responsive screen page. So the next thing I want you guys to do is, please do listen carefully. I want you guys to copy this inside of portfolios folder right here in your file directory and create your own folder. So inside portfolios, I want to go and create, I'll call this my name. Please do call it your name. And inside of here, I want to copy this HTML and paste it inside of my folder. So now you should be able to see your own name, and then inside of that, the HTML file that we copied from copy this. So
wait,
I
wait.
also want to mention that because we are forking this, we don't want to mess up any of the files that appear right here. We only want to deal with whatever is inside of our folder and the HTML that is inside of our folder.
So we
Sorry,
create
go
a new,
ahead.
so we create a new folder under portfolios that's called our name, and then we have an index.html file under that.
Yes. So a general rundown of what exactly we see in this HTML folder, index.html, is we have a favicon right here, and we have the title of the website that we see right here, and this is in the head section. So the head section doesn't actually appear in the actual web page, but it's kind of like metadata and any other CSS files that we'll have to use later in the program. And our body section is where things actually show up. So in our body section, we have our navigation bar, which shows up on the actual web page. And if we scroll down, we see all of the different things that we showed right here in the actual web page. So all of it's reflected in HTML, and it is in order as well. So the order of how you put things in HTML reflects what exactly you see. So now we can click next on our track it, and we see that it is unlocked. So the overview of JS, HTML, and CSS, we have, these are like 3 friends that are gonna make us do web pages for nearly everything. So we have HTML, which is essentially the builder, CSS, which is the artist, and JavaScript, which is the magician. And this website is actually from Start Bootstrap Freelancer, which is an open source one-page portfolio theme made from Bootstrap. So running our project, as we looked at earlier, we're going to use npm, and npm is a packet manager installed with Node.js, which is why I asked you guys to download that at the very beginning. And we also need to understand the file directory and the content we just went over. So now that we're done with this page as well, we want to mark as completed. Go to the next one. And we're going to start with changing text. So most of the work that we're going to do today is going to be within index.html. So let's get started. And for the first part, we want to change line number 13 and make this our own page. So I'm going to put Alarica right here. And if I give that a save, we're going to see that it is not reflected here. And that is because of the file directory. So the changes that we're making is within portfolios, and then within that, it's going to be our first name. So I want you guys to go right here and put portfolios, and after portfolios, put your name. And the reason this is happening is because I did not put npm start again. So if we do this, I'm going to see that this will work. And we see that this has changed, right? So now it went from Tmoc's personal website to Alarica's personal website. So the changes that you create, because they are within this folder, they are not going to show up exactly. So we want to go to /portfolio/ whatever your name is. And now that we've made this change, the next change that we're going to do is replace the description and the author. So we're going to put a quick description of what our website is. So I'm just going to delete all of this text and put personal website with her project. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and change line number 11 and put your name. And if we give that a save, we'll see that this is metadata. So it's not actually going to show up. It's just used for web crawlers to know what your website is about. And now we are going to go down here. If we scroll down for the changing text file, we'll see the next thing is on line 32. We want to change this name to your name. So if we give that a save, we will see that now the nav bar has changed and it says your name instead of Tmoc. And if we scroll down to lines 73, we'll see that we have some more things to change. It's going to be Alarica's page instead of Tmoc's page. So if we give that a save, we're going to see that this opens up right here and it's Alarica's page instead of Tmoc's page. And depending on what year you graduate and what your BS is, go to line 90 and change class of whatever. So I'm class of 2022 and I am a BS in computer science. So I'm gonna leave that as is. And if we give that a save, that's gonna show up as we changed it. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. You can drop it in the chat and people are helping out and I will take a look at it as soon as we get through this page of the Trackit as well. So the next part that we want to change is the about section. And this part is a little bit tricky just because as I showed you guys in this format, we see that it's just in one row, but if we do expand it, we see that it's 2 columns. And the 2 columns are a little bit tricky because we want to make sure that this part and this part are the same length so that it's aesthetically appealing. And so I'm going to go ahead and change all of this and the line below that as well. So I'm going to delete these 2 and just give it a couple seconds and just think of whatever you want to write. So I'll just go, hi, yeah, and I am a student at UT Dallas. And in the second one, I want to put in my free time, I like to bake. So if we give that a save, we'll see how this looks. And we'll see that this is 2 rows long and this is 1 row long. So I want to add one more thing in here. I will say I am a fan of Friends, the show. So if we give that a save, it'll see that it's 2 lines and 2 lines. So I like the look of that. And now we're going to move on. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds just to catch up. And I will also look at what questions you guys have in the chat right now.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So in the file, I'm making changes and I'm saving it, but for some reason I'm not seeing those changes.
Okay, so sorry?
Do I have, oh, you're in /portfolio/ your name. I think I'm still in the original. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, so it is really important to look at the file directory in this scenario because when we go to just localhost.3000 or whatever localhost you're at, it's going to pull from the index.html file that's within that big folder, right? That overarching folder. So we have to specify that we want to go into /portfolios and within that, your name. So when we point it towards that, it's going to find the index.html file within that folder. And so it'll pull the correct information that we're editing. I also just want to say, make sure you don't edit the wrong index.html file. This is pretty bad. We're not going to accept that pull request or it's not going to merge into the official one. So do not change it.
I had a quick question.
Go for it.
So do we have to make a new kind of folder, like the copy this folder, or can we just edit from the copy this folder?
So we do have to create a new folder because when we do merge it all, we're going to end up seeing in the final GitHub everyone's specific name. So if you change copy this and someone else also in this workshop changes copy this, your data is going to get written over. It's not going to merge properly. So we're just going to create our new folder and do all the changes within that.
And then how do we like direct that to the website again?
So what happens is, let me pull up my terminal once again. So we click npm start, and when we do npm start, we see that it gives us a local website that it's going to run on. So you can just copy this local website and put it in here, and make sure to do /portfolios/ your name.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so since I gave you guys a couple of minutes to do your about section, let's move on now. And the next thing we want to change, or the next text we were going to change, is going to be within portfolio. So this title is fine, but when we click here, I assure you that most of us don't have a log cabin project or anything like that. And this Latin really doesn't make any sense. So we want to change this up. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go down to lines 359. Yes. So when we go down to line 359, we're going to see that we have portfolio modals and portfolio modal 1, which is this log cabin. So navigate to the line that says log cabin. So right here, line 376. And we're going to change this to whatever project you really want to put in here. But I'm just going to make this the personal website that we're building right now. So even if you don't have any projects, this can be your first project. So just personal website. And if we give that a save, we'll see that when we say plus right here, it'll show up. We see that the personal website is right here. And right here, we see this Latin. So we just want to delete all of that. And we can make it whatever this personal website is bought. So this personal website is a simple JS, HTML, and CSS website created using Bootstrap. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give that a save. And if we go down here, you'll see that this is reflected as well. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to changing the files and changing the images. And the reason we want to do this is because, one, we don't want to see Tmoc's face each time we log in. And also his resume is a little bit bland. So we're going to go ahead and change all of that. So the first thing we want to do is change the favicon as well, actually. So if we look up here, we have Tmoc's face right here. And I want my favicon just to be a typical website favicon. So I'm just going to put a little web browser. And how are we going to put images in? So for the images, I want you guys to only put your images in within your folder. So I have compiled a couple of images that I'm going to use for me, but you can use anything you want. So I'm going to put this inside Alarica, and this is going to be my favicon icon. So when I go into this, I'll see that in line 15, it's currently pulling from Tmoc primary, and you can see the dot dot and the dot dot right here. So the two sets are essentially going out to get it from right here. So the Tmoc primary image is 2 folders out. So the first dot dot is going to go and look in underneath portfolios, and the second one is going to go and look underneath the whole file directory. So that's where Tmoc primary is located. So it works like that. So now that you didn't put the favicon icon where Tmoc primary is, and instead we put it right here underneath our folder where the index.html folder is also located, we want to change this whole thing, and we want to put favicon icon.png, and that's the only way that it's going to work. So if you leave the dot dots in there or anything else, it's not going to work. So now that I've changed it, you can see that my favicon has changed right here. And so I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to go find whatever icon you want to do. I let Tmoc's primary picture be the favicon icon because it was in a square form, but if you do use the picture that you want to put in for your profile picture, it might be rectangular, so it's going to compress it in a not desirable way. So if you have another image that you want to put in that's also square, that's the best case scenario.
Where did you save the image icon?
So I put it inside of my folder within portfolio.
Oh, okay, now I can see that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the resume that this retrieves. So we're going to go to lines 90, and in line 90 or 93, we see that Tmoc's resume is also being pulled from ... So can someone tell me what this has to change to? Sweet. So I'll go over it one more time, but it's completely fine. So what we have to do right now is we're gonna pull our resume. So I just have a sample resume right here, and we wanna place this within your folder. So any changes you make have to be within your folder. Don't worry if it doesn't show up properly, it's completely fine. It's still valid when we display it. So now we wanna do sample resume 101, and we don't need any of the slashes because everything that we are pulling from is within the same hierarchy as index.html, or it's in the same level as index.html. So now when we go and click on resume, it should show up sample resume 101. This can be your own resume. It's totally good. I'm just using the sample one for reference. Okay, so how far are you guys? Are you guys getting stuck on anything? Okay, so I will slow down a little bit. I think a couple of you guys are confused. So where do we create the folder for our resume, images, and so on? So there's no folder that you're gonna create anymore. The original folder that you did create is the folder that you'll put all your files in. So whatever resume you have to create or whatever favicon icon that you put in is gonna go within this. Your personal index.html will open. Okay, so make sure you do portfolios and make sure you have your exact spelling right here. So even if it isn't your name, use whatever shows up right here in your folder. Yes, so you have to find a favicon icon. You don't have to change it right now. You can just use any profile image. So don't worry about that. So how do we add the icon / resume? So what I'm doing right now is I have a folder with all of my things and I'm just kind of dropping it in, but this depends on OS and IDE, of course. So if you can't do this, I want to urge you guys to go into your Finder or whatever and use where your project location is to put the image inside of there. So make sure to click on htf-education and then click on portfolios and then click on your name and then put it all in there. The recording of this workshop should be available later. I'm not quite sure exactly where you can find it, but keep your eyes out on the Discord and we should be able to post it there. Yes. So the key thing for this whole thing is because we're going to merge it, we want all of your changes to be within your folder only so that it merges fine. So any profile pictures you upload or anything that you upload, we're going to do a little bit more later on, but any changes that you make should be within here. Yes, so that's correct. So you don't have to finish your website changes by the end of this workshop. I'll actually give you guys a little bit of a blurb at the end, just because these are through pull requests that you're going to see these changes. So if there's no one to validate the pull request you make after this workshop, then it's going to be a little bit tricky to get that up and running. But the reason why we're doing it in pull request form is because we have a URL that you guys can access it through. So at the end, if you go to education.acmutd.co/portfolio/copy this, you can access this from anywhere on the internet. So whatever content you put in by the end of this workshop today, you'll have it available to you anytime from anywhere. But I do recommend that you guys go through at the very end, and I'll show you guys how you can clone this from the original repo and make it your own by changing the original index.html, but that's post this workshop and today. So I hope you guys are still okay catching up and stuff, but we will move on. So we want to go inside of lines 161, and we're going to change the log cabin because I changed my original project to a personal website. I'm going to change the log cabin image to match that as well. So now I have to put in that image, right? So I'm going to go into my Finder, and I do have an icon, a website icon that I want to use. So I'll go into portfolios and drop it in there. And this is the website icon I will use. So now I'm going to change this whole thing right here in line 171 to website icon. And if I save that, we'll see, this is not going to update. This is going to update. Okay, so that we'll see that this is going to be changed. And now we have to change this as well. So they're a little bit fragmented. So the next part that we have to change in order to get this log cabin image to change is down here. We're going to go and we're going to replace it with the same exact image. So website icon in my scenario. And if we give that a save and we click plus, it's going to change. So there is one thing that we did not change on this website. Can anyone tell me what that is? This is the last component. This is the last image we have to change. It's Timok's face, right? We want to have our face in the place of this. So let's go to our folder again, or wherever you guys have your images stored. And I'm going to put in my image. So I have that here, and I'm going to rename it to make it easier. I'm just going to put profile.jpg. And this is going to be on line 71. So if we go all the way up to line 71, we'll see that we have to put in our image right here in replace of the source. So I'll just put profile.jpg and this will work. And now we have this. So all of the images and all of the files we have to change are good. I'm going to stop for a couple seconds just to make sure that all of you guys are on track. What line is the website icon? So the favicon is going to be on line 15. Yes, so line 15, you'll see the favicon. So right now in the track it, I just clicked completed on line or slide 4. We're on slide 5 right now, but if you still are on slide 4, take your time. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to get catched up. So if you guys are behind, make sure you are following along in the Trackit. This is going to help you a lot. I do have code snippets in here and everything else that you guys will need to follow along. And it will show you everything that you need to do step by step. So if you guys can't start, we're going to complete this, but I will stick around at the very end and we will go through any setup issues that you guys are having or any dependencies that weren't installed correctly. Line for the portfolio icon. So the line for the portfolio icon is going to be, there's 2 places that you have to change this. The first one is 171 and the last one is right here underneath portfolio modal 1. It's 386. And if you guys are having trouble with the line numbers, please do go to the Trackit. I have line numbers specified out here. And if you can't find the code even like within here, I have snippets that you can match up with your actual content. So it makes a lot more sense. And just keep in mind that if you are on the Track It right now, or if you want to reference any of this information later, you can definitely do that. This Track It is open now during the workshop and later. So make sure you go and just know how to get there right now so you can access it later with ease. So the errors on the favicon, the one thing I did say was that when you have a favicon that's not a square image, it is going to compress it. So let's just see right here. If I took this off and I put my profile picture, which is a rectangular image, and I say save, it's going to load and it's going to be compressed. So it doesn't look nice. So I'm going to go and put back in the square image so that it looks nice. And if it's not updating, I'm not quite sure why it's not doing that, but you can try and make sure that you have everything saved. And if it's still not working, do Control-C and do npm start again. That's one good way to make sure that it is loading. So now it's back to that. Okay, so now we're on number 5, which is adding links. And as you can see, when we click down on menu, we have our GitHub right here, LinkedIn right here. And once again, underneath about, we have the LinkedIn and the GitHub. And if we scroll down in the footer, we have the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and GitHub icons. So we want to go through and personalize these, because currently if you click on one of them, it's just a hash, and that brings us to the top of our web page, and that's not really where our LinkedIn is. So let's go ahead and change that. The first place we're going to change it is lines 48 to 59. So scroll down here, and this is going to be the place that we have our GitHub and LinkedIn in the main menu. So I'm going to look at this ref, and I'm going to put GitHub inside of that. So I have my LinkedIn and GitHub in a little notes pad. So I'm just going to reference that and get all of my websites from there. But if you do not have that already, I'll go a little bit slower so you guys can catch up and find your LinkedIn and GitHub accounts. I'm going to paste that in here. And for my LinkedIn, I'm going to go delete the hash and copy and paste my LinkedIn right here. So once again, no matter what change you make and no matter what file you edit or add, you have to do that within your portfolios and then your name folder. So make sure it's not just in portfolio either, it's going to be within your name. And make sure when you do add the photos, you're going to have these 2 little sets of dots right here that references the parent folder or the grandparent folder in this case. And so we have to delete that because now the new photos that we added in are in the same hierarchy or the same level as index.html. So now that I've added these 2 websites, let's go ahead and give this a save so we can check that it is indeed working. So if I click on GitHub, it is going to my GitHub. And if we click on LinkedIn, it is going to my LinkedIn. So that's working. And now we have another place to change this in. As I said before, underneath about, we have the LinkedIn and GitHub again. So let's go ahead and scroll down to that place and, sorry? Please mute yourself if you're not talking.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm really sorry for being so behind. I'm still on the slide. I'm still on slide 4. I'm really lost on where do I put my images.
So give me 1 second. I'm just going to add this last link in and I will get back to that. So if I give that a save, now I know that my about section is good as well. So if I click on my GitHub icon, it's going to go to my GitHub icon. And if I click on my LinkedIn icon, it's going to go there too. So referencing your question, what exactly do you need help with? Are you looking at the Track It? So what part are you on?
I'm on the part where I have my images. I just need to add image and resume copy. I just don't know where to add it.
Okay, so if we look in slide number 4, we can see that we should add our resume in lines 90 to 95. So
no, not in the code, in the directory.
Okay, sorry. Makes sense. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go within portfolios within your name. So it should say Naranjan right here. And within that, you should be able to add, or you should add your resume and your images right here. We don't want them anywhere else because this will interfere with the overall directory pattern of the GitHub.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to make sure.
And so I know that for this whole workshop, I've been kind of dragging them and dropping them in, but that's not completely feasible for some people and some IDEs. So you can do all of this in a clear way underneath your Finder and whatever. So it'll be like in a more visible format. Okay. So now that we've added our links in, we are pretty much done with adding links. We're going to deal with our footer later. I want you guys to do that on your own, so we'll save that. And getting mail is our next part. So getting mail is a little bit difficult, but do not worry, we'll go through it together. So there's underneath mail, we see a contact_me.php. And for this, we want to drag it in. Sorry, take a copy of that and paste it within this folder right here. So we see a contactme.php right here. And the only thing we want to change within this is the name, sorry, the to tag. So we're going to see the to, and I'm just going to put my email right here. And I'm going to give that a save. And
can you go back to the code lines earlier about where to add the resume? I'm so sorry for making this.
You're good, don't worry. So your resume is going to be in line 93. We just want to title it whatever you have it here. So I use a sample resume and I just have this title. So I just placed it here. It's going to be within the href part of the A tag.
Yeah. Well, what about the headshot image of ourselves and our other image for the project or whatever?
Okay, so all of this information is actually in the Trackit with line numbers and with code snippets. So please do check that. I have to move on for everyone else, but if you stay till the end, I can definitely help you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we have our email within the to tag, we're just gonna give that a save. And if we come down here to the contact part and put in all of this information, and I'm just gonna put hi as the message, and I click send, it's gonna say, hey, Alarica, it seems that my mail server is not responding. Please try again later. And this is actually expected. So the reason why this is happening is with big email vendors like Gmail and Outlook, they have a lot of security provisions and things like that that block them from any random person creating a simple program on their local machine and trying to send emails to you. So this is very expected. And if you want to go and bypass this, I recommend you guys use like a dummy email or something like that so you can go through into your settings and deprovision all of these security precautions that they have. And this in fact works, but because everyone doesn't use the same email vendor, like I use Gmail, people use Outlook, people use Yahoo or whatever. So I'm not going to go through the process, but if you want to do, if you wanted to actually have this up and running and completed, you can do a little bit of your own research, and it's not the most difficult thing in the world. It's definitely trivial. And now that we have the mail server running, we are going to go and do an exercise. So what we want to do is go to lines 300 to 337. And here we have, let's see, the footer. So in the footer, we see information that we've basically know how to do. So it's like changing text, changing links, and things like that. So I want you guys to go through and try to do the footer on your own. So right here, if we go through and we see our browser just extended, we see that we have three components. We have the location, we have our links, and then we have about freelancer. So these three sections should be changed. For the person that got their npm install command to work, I would love to know what you did. I'll definitely use that for troubleshooting in the future. Yeah, for sure. That's a really good observation, actually. So if you don't have a Facebook or a Twitter or anything, you can actually go ahead and change that to Instagram, this part right here. So if I don't want to put my Facebook on my website, instead I want to put my Instagram, I can just give that a save. And when I go down here, did I put that correctly? Or Facebook, or yeah, no, that, yeah. So make sure to delete Facebook/F, so Instagram. And that should work. So now we see that the Instagram icon is right there. And the reason this works is because if you go into your overarching file directory and you click on vendor, you see that you have Font Awesome right here. And Font Awesome is actually giving us all of these really cool icons. So Font Awesome also has an Instagram icon, and that's why we're able to just change one word and it will still work. A blue square with a question mark, please let me know where you're getting that.
Hi, I'm getting it on the profile picture where I was trying to replace Teamok with my photo.
Okay, so make sure you have your exact PDF or sorry, JPEG or whatever, like exactly in that format. Even if one letter is off, you might be getting the alternate text that will show up if your image is not loading.
Okay, thank you.
Let me know if it works. For some reason, clicking my Instagram icon is not taking me to the portfolio. So when you do change your Instagram, your icon is going to be right here, but the tag you have to change is your A tag and the ref part of it. So if it's a hash, it's going to take you all the way to the top. So it's because mine is still a hash right now, if I click the Instagram part, it's going to take me to the top. So I want to change this and put my own Instagram in. Let me know if that works. I always forget to save. Okay, so I'm assuming that most of y'all have your information now completed and your tags and everything are filled out. So you should be able to see your location. I do recommend not putting your complete location on here. So maybe just your city and your zip code is fine. But if you want to put your whole location on there, go right ahead. It's your choice. And then all your tags and about freelancer, you can change that to whatever you want. So let's mark this as completed if you guys are done. So we just completed slide 6, but don't worry, you can definitely come back and change whatever you need later. So this is essentially our website now. And if we scroll out or increase our browser size, we can see that we have all of these components. And if we scroll down, we see all of our information that we've customized. And you can see there are still some things that you can change, but you can change this later on as well. I taught you guys how to do one, and the rest of them follow the same format. So they're pretty self-explanatory as to how you would change them, change the image and change the text in the description. The contact me needs a little bit of research, but that's done as well. And the location part, the footer part, is something that you guys did. So good job on that. And so now, in number 7, we have advanced topics. So obviously this website is great, but it looks very similar to the original website. So if we want to make some changes, we have to go further. And one of these changes is CSS. So the reason why CSS isn't completely easy to change and why it's included in advanced topics is because it auto updates for your files as well. So when you go into CSS and you make a change, it's actually not gonna show that when you save it. So if I want to change something like just text decoration, I'm like, okay, I don't want the underline format, and I delete this and I give it a save, it's not going to change at all. Or if we want to see this in a clearer way, I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to do npm start again. And if you look closely, it's actually going to reload that one line, even if we didn't explicitly type it in. And in fact, we explicitly deleted it. So why is this happening? And this is because we have a C or SCSS. And so this is scripted cascading style sheet that's kind of rewriting freelancer.css as it's loaded. And so changing CSS is not trivial, and you can do a little bit of research on that, and it could be done as well. And then the next part is Gulp Tasks. So since we just reloaded this file, we see that the first part that's happening is the actual project, and the next one is Gulp Watch. So what exactly is Gulp? So Gulp is like an automation tool that's used for web development, and essentially it minifies a lot of these files. So if you open up the JS folder, we'll see that we have contact_me.js, and we also have a .min.js. And so essentially it's taking contact me.js and it's doing minifying, and it's making it a smaller file that just has this one line. And so when the website loads this information, it doesn't take as much time, and it's more efficient in multiple ways. So Gulp is available to you guys as well. You have to have it installed globally, but you can change it up. And once we get the Trackit open, we can go on to the next part. So I want to ask you guys, if you have any questions, please do let me know. I'm here to help you guys. And now we're going to work on getting those pull requests and getting that swag. So we'll go on to the next part, but only once I've answered all of your questions. So do we mark 7, or so do we mark 7 as completed? Yes, please do mark 7 as completed. That's essentially just for your information. In the future, if you want to do reference Gulp and CSS, that's fine. So the Trackit is essentially just a bunch of sophisticated slides that aid us when we're doing workshops. It's to keep track of the number of people that have done each part correctly or that are completed with each part, and it's for y'all's reference later as well. Where did you change the Twitter? So I'm assuming you want to change the icon that Twitter has. So we'll just go through and look at our footer once more, and sorry. When we look at our footer, we can see Twitter right here. All you have to do is change this to Instagram if you want this to be Instagram, and you should be fine. Make sure you don't change the whole class, just FA dash, and then just the Twitter part, not even FA dash. Like, we still want that part as well. So let's learn how to get the pull requests. The blue square is not going. Okay, we can work on this after this workshop. So if you have a little bit of time, stay back and I will help you guys. Okay, so can we go to the next part? So you can join the Trackit at trackit.acmutd.co. Someone can drop the link in there for you. And the ID is personal website workshop. It is case sensitive, and the 3 words, first letters are capitalized. So how to open a pull request. So first, in order to get to this part, we want to commit all of our changes, right? So we created a folder and we updated a lot of things. So what we want to do is we want to go back into our terminal and Control-C. We don't want to run this anymore. And we will do git add dot. So when we do that, we can go to Git Status. This is also a trick. Please type in Git Status whenever you're confused. It helps me a lot. And now we know that we have to do Git Commit. So I'm just going to name this my updated site. So if we do that, now we know that we have to push these changes. I'm just going to do git push. Okay, so we see that my branch is actually not up to date, so we're not able to push it. This should not happen for you guys, so go ahead and just do a git push. It should work. So the last argument is actually the title you want to make your commit. So this can be anything you want. Okay, so make sure you guys are able to push. I have a little bit of a discrepancy that I will deal with later, but if you guys are able to push, that's completely fine. So now what I'm going to show you guys is in the track it as well. So make sure you pay close attention to that. Okay, yay. Sorry, git push, not git pull. I made a git pull because my slides are a little, or my repo is a little bit messed up, but a git push should work for you guys. So just push it to the main. It should be fine as long as you guys are within your own repo, not within the ACM one. So if you did do the clone properly within your own account, it should work.
Excuse me, I have a question. I'm still a bit behind. I put links where I put all my links, but for some reason they're not going where I want them to.
So have you deleted the hash that is kind of like a placeholder within those locations?
Where is the, can you like show me an example of one of them?
Of course. So when we go in here, essentially what happened is, I'll show you in the footer. We have a hash that's here that's kind of like a placeholder. And the only thing you're also supposed to manipulate is the href part of the A tag. So if you're deleting all of this part and replacing it with your website, it's not going to work. So
you don't put the link in the A class. Oh, you put it in place of the oh. Okay.
Yeah. So the part in the href tag, make sure you delete that hash and then type up your website.
Oh, I need to go back and make some changes. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, so make sure to push it to your main branch within your own one. And now I'm gonna go and look at pull requests. So if you can search up pull request right here or pull request right here. I do have nothing to compare, but on the trackit, let me open that up. This will give you guys a clear idea of what you guys are supposed to see. We see that you can search for branches, which it would be just your main. Yay, you got the blue square to go away. Nice. And then do a pull request. This should show up right here. And once you click the pull request, which is until I showed you guys, this should show this right here. And it should have a check mark, which is able to merge. So that means that it could be automatically merged. If you guys did some changes in the main directory by accident or maybe intentionally, this would not work. So if you followed everything correctly up till now, this should be fine. Yeah, so there are changes locally. And they're also going to be changed remotely within inside of your repo as soon as you put the git push. So I want to know if you guys are seeing this. I just don't want to talk when everyone's confused. So give me a thumbs up or a good or it's going fine in the chat. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Akshem. Pushed, yay.
I'm getting a slight, I'm hitting a wall here.
Okay, go for it. Let's see if we can troubleshoot this.
So really quickly, what were the commands you used when you were opening up the bash and running the git git add git commit? It can't find the repository on mine.
So once again, I will say that you have to make sure you're inside of the new directory you created, and within that htf-education. So if you're within like the one outside of htf education, it's not going to work because we don't have package.json, or our project is just not there, so it's not going to work.
All right, that makes a lot more sense. I'll try it and update.
Okay, so make sure you guys are going to GitHub and making the pull requests. We should be able to see it if you guys have made your pull request. So Aishani is merging pull requests right now. So as they're coming in, we're going to be accepting them. So you've pushed, but you're confused about merging pull requests. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So find your branch, and within your branch, you should just see pull request right here. So this should be inside of your main original repo if you're doing it correctly. Okay, Ishani just merged it, perfect. But for the rest of you guys, this button should show up, and once you're here, this should be able to merge. You should just have a green check mark.
Yay, I got my links to work. Now I have to do everything else after what you said.
So I can assure you guys that the pull requests are going to be completely 100% accepted automatically if you guys do them post this workshop, but we'll try our best to get those in as well. So even if you're like 10-15 minutes late to get them get those PRs in, we will accept them sooner, hopefully, rather than later.
Can you go home? Oh wait, you said you're staying back after, so can you like help me out?
Of course, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay, can I share my screen or whatever now, or should we just
I just
wait?
want to make sure that everyone else is good, but I will get you as soon as everyone else's is good.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'll try to look through the trackit and make my own changes.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys are pretty much done, I want to say thank you so much for attending this workshop today. I know everything didn't go exactly as planned, but thank you so much for sticking till the end. And we have a full day of events planned. So this is just the beginning of it. We have things all the way until the night. So make sure to stay and enjoy the rest of Hacktoberfest. Yeah, for sure, Hamad. If you stay back, I can help you out.
Alrika, I'm also going to stay behind as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure, no problem. So I know that there's only 43 of y'all, but as I mentioned before, if you want to see your website like everywhere, make sure to go to education.acmutd.co. And as soon as your pull request is accepted, you should be able to see this with your own name. So as soon as you go into your folder, your website will show up anywhere on the internet. So the code for the trackit is personal website workshop. So slide 10 is essentially just saying, great job, you guys did amazing. And it just has one more event, or the next event that's going to happen in Hacktoberfest. Yeah, no problem.
Alarica?
Yes.
Hi. Is it okay if I make a pull request later, like after the session?
Yeah.
Like, will you
Yeah,
guys still
for
accept it?
sure. Yeah, we'll still
Okay.
accept it. It might not be automatic, but we definitely will.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm having some issues.
Yeah. I've been following through with like the entire thing, but I just got the website working with what Bishwak posted, and I don't see any of the changes I've made. It's still just like TMOC's personal website, but I've gone through and I've like changed a bunch of things.
Okay, so I think the primary reason for that is you're still in localhost 3000. So I want to say go and make sure you have /portfolio/ your name for it.
Okay.
So mine isn't currently an npm start, but you're able to see TMOC's website on your local host, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so make sure you do that. And if it still doesn't work, let's see.
Yeah, it's still saying site cannot be reached.
Site cannot be reached. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is go inside portfolios and go inside yours and make sure it's index.html exactly as is.
Yeah, it's index.html exactly as is.
And do you have /portfolios?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a look at everyone else's like simple requests and I will come back to you, don't worry.
Okay.
I was not able to connect early, but I really want to build a website. Is this recording going to be available? Yes, the recording will be available. Please watch out on the GitHub. We will post the link to this recording, hopefully sometime soon. Okay, so I forgot who was talking to me. Please let me know again. So it's still not working no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, does your file structure look exactly like mine?
Yes.
Okay. And you for sure changed the index.html within your name, right?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And no changes are appearing. Can I take a look at your code? Can you share your screen?
Sure.
Let's see if it will work.
Host, you disabled it.
Have I? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how I would go about letting you have permission. Let me check this out. Is there anyone else that has any other concerns? Like I'll address those before I start screen sharing with other people.
I just had a quick question because I had this repo from a previous workshop, so it's technically not forked from the Hacktoberfest one, but it's all the same code and everything. So I was wondering how I could submit a pull request at all for this workshop.
Did you attend the SWE ACM workshop from earlier or anything like that? Okay. So there are some changes that I have made to this particular one. For instance, the copy this, the read that text portfolios. So it's not going to let you do a pull request from that repository, but it really essentially is a quick fix, right? So if you do want to fork this and then clone this and then do a pull request from that, it's just a simple copy paste. If I'm not mistaken, copy the index.html file and then paste it within the new one that you cloned, and then you should submit your pull request and it should still be accepted.
Okay, I'll try that.
Please do, thanks. Anyone else?
Excuse me, I have like a kind of like a lot of questions. I've got up to slide 6. I'm on the slide 7 part now, but there's still like some parts like I want to like ask questions about.
Okay, perfect. So I think I will address this as well, but I see there are a lot of people on this Zoom meeting still. If you guys don't have any questions, like this is pretty much the end of the workshop. I just want to get a feel for the number of people I have to help. So if there's nothing else, you can move on to the next session in Hacktoberfest. Yeah, thank you so much for attending, guys. Yes, sorry.
Oh, I just had a quick question. Where can I find the repo?
Okay, so if you're in the Track It, the repo is in the first slide, slide number 1. It should just be a GitHub URL. So if you open that up, that should be fine. And from there, make sure to fork it and then clone it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming.
I have one question.
Go for it.
So, when are you going to upload a recording of this? Because I have a friend who wasn't able to make it who would like to see it.
Of course. So a recording of this is taken and it should be uploaded as soon as possible. I can't give you a date, but make sure to watch out on the Discord. Most likely to Hacktoberfest members will do a call or we'll push a message to y'all. So if you guys are on the Discord and paying attention, you guys should get it.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
For sure.
Hello. Is there anything specific that you guys are gonna do with all these websites, or just gonna leave it running?
So they will be running all the time, and you can check them from anywhere. I know I've said this multiple times, but this is the primary reason we're doing this. So you can check it from anywhere. So they'll just be hosted on education.acmutd.co/portfolio/ whatever your name is. So if we look on the GitHub, we'll see that we have ACMUTD HTF education, and we see that a lot of people have put their portfolios in, right? And so if we go to an arbitrary one, just choose the first one, Ethan. You can see that we can see Ethan's portfolio right here. And these are all the changes that he made. And so this is not only limited to your local host, like most projects are, you'll be able to access it from anywhere.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming.
I'm getting there. I just need to know where do I add like the Instagram thing, and then you can like help me with slide the 7 forward. Sorry for all of this. It's just
No, don't say sorry at all.
Okay.
Give me one more second. I think Vaughn had a question. So you're allowed to update your websites whenever, but just know that for them to be reflected within the final GitHub is going to take a little bit of time just because of those pull requests, and we're not monitoring them after today. So if you want to have this website and update it however you want and host it on your own GitHub, I recommend you go to the original HTF education and you make a clone of this one. And when you make a clone, I recommend you guys change the host or the remote repository to your own repository. So create a new repository in your own account. And then once you clone it in there, change the remote location, and you're able to commit all of your changes to your own GitHub. And so you can make any changes in this website whenever you want, and it'll be visible on your GitHub all the time.
Will there be details on how I can do that later, like, so I can follow along those instructions?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually did link a website on the Trackit. I believe it's in slide number 2, but if it's not there, it's just a simple how to change the remote repository on a GitHub.
Okay, so yeah, back to what I was saying earlier about the, what was it?
Yes, I'm so sorry. Slide 7, you were saying? Okay, let's go back to slide 7.
I have one more question. So I changed the Facebook thing to an Instagram. I just want to add a Instagram favicon.
Okay, Instagram favicon. Okay, give me 1 second. There's one more question. So for Mia, make sure you have all of your changes pushed to your GitHub. So if you don't have your changes pushed to your GitHub, or if it didn't happen successfully, you're going to run into these errors when it says up to date, because the current status of your repo and then the original repo is going to be the same. So it doesn't see anything to push, if that makes sense. So if you're having any errors when you're trying to do this, make sure you first fix those up, and then this should work. How do we format the Git push to make sure that it doesn't happen again?
When you were running it, I remember you added something towards the end. I didn't quite catch that, and I think that's what giving me errors.
So the one thing that that happened to me is I actually edited my repository just as a trial earlier today. So as a result of those edits and not a complete merge, I ran into errors. But because you guys didn't do any of that experimenting, your repo should have worked fine, which is why I said you guys can go ahead and do it, but I personally had errors. So if you guys are careful in whatever changes you make, you shouldn't run into whatever I ran into.
So when I checked on my command prompt where it pushed to, it told me that it pushed towards the main repository. Is that where it's supposed to go?
Yes, that's perfect. And so now if you go into your console, your GitHub console, you should be able to see exactly what happened.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
For sure. So cloning and forking, the big difference is when you clone the repo, you have complete control over whatever happens. But when you fork the repo, you do it with the intention of merging that fork later on or anything like that. So when I clone the repo, I usually just make sure that I clone it. And if I want to mess with it later in the future, I don't feel like I can't. So a fork is more intended to combine with the original one. If that made sense. I'm so sorry. Yes, so the trackit will be available later for you. Just make sure you use the account name, or sorry, the ID personal website workshop, and you should be able to access it. So Niranjan, you said that you wanted to make your logo an Instagram logo?
No, the you know, at the bottom, like, cause like around the world, it shows like all the Twitter, this. There,
Right, yes.
I changed that Facebook one to an Instagram, so afterwards I don't see the image.
So the reason that's happening is because the Facebook one is a little bit different. It has a Facebook-F, and so you have to take away that -F if you want the changes to actually show up. So right here, it said Facebook-F, right?
So do I
So
get rid of the -F? Is that it?
Yeah, so you get rid of the -F as well, and then you just put Instagram.
Oh, okay. And also another thing with the mail server, I don't know, like I tried like putting, so when you put the contact me, so you have to, someone has to put in my email, or they put in their email?
So you'll put in your email, whatever email you want it to go to. I don't recommend that you use your original email to do this, just because you have to take away a lot of the security precautions that are in place. But if you have a dummy email or anything, that's
so on
good
the
to
mail
use.
server.php, do I just put in the dummy email then?
Yeah, a dummy email would be good. Yes, and it still won't work because you do have to go and deprovision a lot of the security settings, but it will work once you do a little bit of research.
Okay, so let me just put that dummy email. You said it's still not going to work, but okay, that's fine. So yeah, so now I think I'm up to date on where you are. Can I, but I'm still on like slide 7. So can I share my screen and you can like help me finish
So
up?
I'm not sure how I would let you share your screen. I'm not exactly the most proficient
Okay, yeah, that's
on
fine.
Zoom.
That should be fine. So what do I have to do in slide 7 exactly?
So slide 7, what's the title of that slide?
It's the advanced topics. It's like after installation, run npm install, then run npm start as a preview, wait for core changes. You can view the Gulp file, that thing.
Okay, got it. So the advanced topics is for when you want to do your own research. I do acknowledge that this is very a templated website. It's very cookie cutter, right? So at the end of this workshop, everyone's going to end up with the same website, essentially, with a couple things changed. But we know that you guys are very interested in making your own changes, like changing up the CSS or messing with the Gulp. So you can do that on your own time. That's not within the scope of this workshop. But if you are
Let me
interested
just
in that,
save
that's
those
for you.
links then. Let me just save those links provided.
All right, I hope this is the last question.
Go for it, don't worry.
What branch do we switch to in our GitHub dashboard? Is it just my branch or the main?
Main is what it is. So we didn't create any branches for this one. So just the main is good.
And just make our pull request and we should be done?
Yes, just make your pull request and you're good.
All right.
Can you walk me through the pull request, please?
Yeah, for sure. So So actually, I want to recommend the Track It. I'm not exactly the proficient in showing it right now because my repo is a little bit messed up because I haven't pulled completely and I haven't pushed completely. So I want to say if you want to do the pull request, follow along with the Track It. It's most useful in that, and it should be slide number 9.
So do I have to do this on my repo or the repo?
So when you do, it will give you an option on your own repo. That's most likely where you should start, and it should have everything right there.
So on my repo, like my username /HTF education, I should go to pull requests?
So you don't go to pull request, but make sure that you have everything within Git like pushed exactly. So all your changes should show up inside of your own repo.
Oh, that's what I don't know how to do. So do I just like, so I have to push this. So
if you look at what Aishani sent, she actually sent a group of commands that you should use. So the first thing we want to do is do git status just to make sure like what's going on. And then git add dot, which is just going to add all your files. You're going to commit with just a message of what your commit is. And you're going to push those messages or that commit to your remote repo.
So on my HTF education, I do the git status and all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is going to be within your command line. So go to your terminal and do all these changes.
Yeah. Okay. Just get the chat pulled up right here. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. All right. So I'm going to do git status. Oh, so now I do the git add dot. Git commit.
Yeah.
Sam.
So is there anyone else that has any other concerns in the meanwhile?
I just had a really quick question again. So I did all, like I committed all the changes and everything, and I copied and pasted over the index from the previous workshop.
Yes.
So all I have to do after this would be to create the pull request, right? Because I pushed and everything.
All you would have to do is create the pull request. That's all. Make sure you do those git commands in your command line first, though. Other than that, you should be good. So just make sure that all of your changes are reflected within your original repository, or you're going to have nothing to update.
My changes are reflected in my repository. Now I have to go to my changes are there in my repository.
It doesn't look exactly like the branch, or it doesn't look like it is recognizing my second like clone, because when I go to create a pull request, it just has my main branch committing to main branch. So it's it doesn't really, yeah, it's not committing to the right place, I guess.